Hello everyone, warm welcome to Regulatory Bodies YouTube channel by Testbook. My name is Madhav Sir. I welcome you all in a very important session where we are going to discuss the finance current affairs for 25th to 27th of February 2025. As we know that finance current affairs are going to play a really very important role in your examination, keeping the same in mind, we discuss all the important news related to the banking world, financial world, as well as we target the RBI website where we cover the RBI press release, RBI circulars, notices, RBI official speeches, as well as we discuss the RBI bulletin in this session. So I welcome you all in the RBI Grade B Current Affairs Finance Current Affairs session. My name is Madhav Sir. I hope I'm audible, visible, everything is fine. We are good to go. Just let me know in the comment section that everything is fine. We are good to go so that we can begin the discussion without any further delay. Still waiting for the reply, guys. May I have a reply in the comment section that yes, I am audible, visible, everything is fine. We are good to go. Just give me yes sir so that we can begin. I'm really very sorry I was not able to conduct the session on Saturday. There was some technical issue because of which the session was not conducted. But today I'm live and don't worry, we will be covering all the important updates depending upon, or we will be discussing all the important current affairs from day to day. So today we have 25th and 27th, 25th to 27th of February finance current affairs in this particular session. Okay, ji. If you haven't yet liked the session, I would request you quickly hit the like button. If you haven't shared the link of this session with your friends, I would request you do share the link of this session with your friends so that more and more students can join us live. You can download the PDF of the same session which is available on the Telegram channel, which is Economics by Madhav Sir, and my handle is @Madhav Sir. Just scan this code and you can download the PDF of the same session once we complete it. So let's begin with the first news, and the first news is now on your screen. So the moment I start my discussion with the first news today, the first news talks about India has extended $1 million for food fortification project in Laos. So I hope you all have heard this particular term. The term says that is food fortification. I hope you all are very well aware what is food fortification, the process as well as the initiatives which have been followed in India as well on the food fortification, that will also be discussed. अब क्वेश्चन ये आता है कि जब ऐसी न्यूज हमारे सामने आती है तो हमारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बनती है कि वी शुड डिस्कस in and out of the entire news. So how I have come up with this news for you. First of all, I'll discuss what is the current news is all about. But before I dig deep into it, I will be discussing with you what is fortification, what is the benefit of food fortification. Then we'll move ahead and we'll discuss the food fortification in India. We'll discuss the entire timeline when it began in India, and then we'll discuss these different schemes in which government is distributing, government is reaching to the public with the fortified, or I would say nutritious food, that will be discussed. And in the end, I'll come back to the news and I'll conclude the same. I hope the manner in which we are going to complete this news is going to help you a lot. So if you all are ready, just give me yes sir. Let's begin the discussion with the first question of the evening, or the first news of the evening. So the first news talks about, please pay attention. The news says Government of India has recently announced $1 million to the government of Laos People Democratic Republic under the India United Nations Development Partnership Fund. So first point which is important over here is that is India United Nations Development Partnership Fund. We will be discussing this in detail. Second thing which is important, that is about the tie-up which has been done between Government of India, or I would say Government of India has extended a grant Please pay attention. It's not a loan, as it is clearly mentioned. It is a grant. Grant is something जो कि बिना liability के extend किया जाता है. There is no responsibility to pay back. And what is the value of this grant? So the value of this grant is $1 million, which has been announced to which nation? The nation is Lao People's Democratic Republic. The grant will support the project. So this grant which government is going to provide to Laos, this is going to support the project. And what is the name of that project? So the name of that project is strengthening large scale food fortification, the case of investing in rice fortification. So remember that if there could be a question that recently government has extended $1 million grant for the food fortification project in Laos People's Democratic Republic. Out of the following option, this grant has been announced for which food item, or it has been announced for the fortification of what? Sir, it is being announced for the fortification of rice. Second question could be, sir, what is the name of the project? The name of the project is strengthening large scale food fortification, the case of investing in rice fortification. Now, my first question from where I'm going to begin the discussion, what do you understand by the word fortification? See, if this question is asked to you, and if this question comes in front of you, and if someone asks you, what do you understand by the word fortification? So fortification basically means it's a practice through which we deliberately increase the nutrient content in a particular food item. We increase the nutrient content in the particular food item, which includes minerals, vitamins, in order to improve the quality of the food supply, and it will undoubtedly increase, or it will benefit the public health overall. So as well as it will increase the nutritional content of the staple foods, it add micronutrients which help restore the micronutrient content lost during the processing. So it not only enhances the micronutrients of a particular food, it also I would say increase the micronutrients which are lost during the processing process, or during the processing of the food items. First point which you need to remember. So what could be the examples? If I talk about the examples, fortification of milk is done, where we often add vitamin D to it. Then fortification of wheat is done. In case of wheat, we add folic acid, iron to prevent birth defects as well as reduce iron deficiency. This is important. Salt, in case of salt, we fortify the salt with iodine and iron. In case of cereals, we add vitamin B, especially B12. In eggs, we add omega-3 fatty acids. In fruit juices, we add calcium, or we fortify it with calcium. So out of all these examples, wheat wala part is important. That can be asked directly, that what type of micronutrients are added in a process named as wheat fortification in order to prevent birth defects as well as to reduce iron deficiency. Then your answer should be folic acid and iron. Your answer should be folic acid and iron. Is it clear till this point, guys? So next time if someone asks you what is fortification, I'm pretty sure that yes, this particular term, this particular slide is clear to you. Now moving on to the next point. So what are the benefits of food fortification? If I talk about the benefits of food fortification, first one, it prevents nutritional deficiency. So whatever nutritional deficiencies are going on in the country, that can be prevented if you are fortifying your food. It prevents nutrition related illness. If there is any kind of illness due to the lack of nutrient in a particular food item, that can be overcome, and it improves the mental growth and development in children. What about food fortification in India? So if I talk about the food fortification in India, then the food safety, please remember, Food Safety and Standard Authority of India has guidelines for food fortification in India. And remember that if a particular product, if a particular food item in India is fortified, then it will contain a plus logo. If you find a plus logo on a particular food item, just understand that the plus logo, which is introduced by Food Safety and Standard Authority of India, that is just to address the food item which is right now in your hand. It is a fortified food. Got it, guys? So what is fortification? What are the different types of food fortification done? What are its benefits? And in India, which authority is responsible to look after food fortification? Then your answer should be FSSAI, that is Food Safety and Standard Authority of India. And how can I recognize the food item which I am consuming? How can I recognize कि जो मैं खा रहा हूं, जो मेरे पास फूड आइटम है, क्या ये fortified है या नहीं? मुझे कैसे पता चलेगा? Sir, I can easily identify with the help of a plus logo which is printed on its packet. Clear? Moving on to the next point. Now, if I talk about food fortification in India, so food fortification point was in news in the recent times. So what was that news? So recently Cabinet has taken a very important decision to extend universal supply of fortified rice. So in India, we are targeting fortification of what, or fortification of which food item? Then your answer should be in India also. We are fortifying rice, and under all the government welfare schemes, we are distributing fortified rice in the country, which even include Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana. Now, this food fortification, or I would say the circulation of fortified rice in the different schemes of the country, was implemented till July 2024, but now it has been extended from July 2024 till December 2028. So this is the best question which can be asked by the examiner, that in India recently rice fortification or fortified rice circulation has been increased for 4 more years. Earlier the deadline was till July 2024, but now it has been extended till December 2028. So remember that from 2019-20, rice fortification fortified rice distribution was initiated, and it was till March 2024, and then there was a news in July that don't worry, we are going to extend it till December 2028. And what is the total financial outlay? So the total financial outlay to implement distribution of fortified rice is going to be 17,082 crore rupees. This scheme is 100% funded by central government, and 80 crore citizens of the country are going to be beneficiary of this, because I'm talking about under the National Food Security Act 2013, the eligible public, that is the public which holds Antodaya Ann Yojana ration cards as well as priority household ration card holders, they are eligible, and this makes approximately 2/3 of the Indian population. Around 80 crores of the Indian population is included, and now this population will be receiving fortified rice not till March 2024, rather it will be receiving, or the public will be receiving the fortified rice till December 2028. And what is going to be the expenditure done by the government for this? So the expenditure done by the government alone for the rice fortification is going to be 17,082 crore rupees. Please pay attention, guys, if I show you the flow of this particular, I would say, rice fortification. So rice fortification was announced back in 2019-20 for 3 years. Then in 2022, it has been extended, which included ICDs as well as PM Poshan program. Then it was expanded, which include 112 aspirational districts. Even it included 250 districts with high stunting indices. If someone asks you how many districts in India hold high stunting index level, then your answer will be 250 districts. In 2024, all the previous areas were included, and the remaining district across the country was also included. It included the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, under which government is providing 5 kg free agriculture produce to the population which is covered under National Food Security Act. Now they will be receiving fortified rice under this particular scheme itself. Moving on to the next point. The next point says, if I talk about the rice fortification, you need to understand rice is enriched with 3 micronutrients, and if I talk about these 3 micronutrients, it include iron, which is going to fight against anemia, folic acid, which is important for fetal development and blood formation. And then we have vitamin B12 for normal functioning of the nervous system. If someone asks you, in India, rice fortification is done by adding which all micronutrients, then your answer should be, so 3 micronutrients are added. Answer is iron, folic acid and vitamin B12. Moving on to the next point. The next point says, if I talk about the rice fortification, sir, earlier 925, if I talk about the current scenario, 925 active manufacturers, which has a production capacity of 111.6 LMT, which is the annual production capacity. If I talk about the premix manufacturers, it has 232. And if I talk about the rice mills, over 21,000 operational rice mills are included under this particular arrangement. And we even have the testing labs, where we have 49 testing labs in order to identify that what are the micronutrients level in the fortified rice. Now, these fortified rice are going to reach the public through different schemes, which include Poshan Abhiyan. It even includes Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, which is for pregnant and lactating women. Then Integrated Child Development Service, Pradhan Mantri Poshan Shakti Nirman, which was earlier known as midday meal scheme, under which government aided schools, or I would say the government aided and government schools, the children in the government schools, they enjoy a free meal, and that meal which is provided to the students, they will be using, or they will be providing fortified rice in the meal in those schools or under this particular scheme. So earlier it was termed as midday meal scheme. Now it has been renamed as Pradhan Mantri Poshan Shakti Nirman, which we call it as PM Poshan Yojana. Last but not the least is the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. So under this scheme, again, distribution of food grains will be done, and all the food grains which are going to be distributed, they are going to be fortified. Especially if I talk about rice, that is fortified rice, will be distributed to the population under all these schemes which are implemented in the economy. Now I come back to the news. So what the news says? The news says that recently Government of India has announced a grant of $1 million to the government of Laos People's Democratic Republic, under which funds are under the India United Nations Development Partnership Fund. So let's check more detail on this particular news. So if I talk about the project which we are talking about regarding the rice fortification in Laos Public Democratic Republic, so it is implemented by World Food Program, and World Food Program is holding its headquarters in Rome, Italy, and this project is basically introduced in order to solve the ongoing malnutrition challenges, and these malnutrition challenges can only be overcome with the help of supply of fortified rice to the public. The project support is a reflection of India's long-standing and multi-phased collaboration with the government of Laos. Remember that if I talk about this particular fund, India United Nations Development Partnership Fund values the principles of South-South cooperation, and Government of India has already invested $150 million. Please pay attention. Government of India has already invested $150 million of funds in this particular scheme, or in this particular fund, which has supported around 65 countries, or it has supported around 85 projects across 65 countries. So this point is very important, that India United Nations Development Partnership Fund, in which government has invested, or government has granted $1 million to Laos. Under this particular fund, government has already invested $150 million to support 85 projects, and these 85 projects are currently running in 65 countries. So this fund was established by Government of India in 2017, and recently Government of India has announced $1 million grant for a nation, that is Laos. Laos People Democratic Republic. Is it clear, everyone? Is it clear, everyone? So I hope the entire news is clear. So this is what we call holistic coverage of a particular. The news was very simple. I may have concluded the news in this slide itself, but in order to give you more clarity, give you more content, so that if there is a question in a descriptive format, you can answer it very well. So you have learned 3 new things. First thing, That is the entire news which we are talking about. Second, you have learned about food fortification. Third, you have learned about India United Nations Development Partnership Fund. And now you know that India has already invested $150 million to support 85 projects of 65 countries under United Nations Development Partnership Fund, which was established by Government of India in 2017. Is it clear, everyone? If it is clear, if it is done, just give me yes, sir. There could be a question. Out of the following, which scheme do not include distribution of fortified rice? So out of all these schemes, if any other scheme is mentioned, you can identify the odd one out and you can answer the question for sure. If it is clear, just give me yes, sir, so that we can move ahead to the next news. And next news is going to be again really very important, which is going to touch the banking world of the nation. If it is clear, just give me yes, sir. If it is clear, just give me yes, sir. Okay, thank you so much, Madhuri, Shivyanshi, Manisha, Akash. Thank you. Moving on to the next news. The next news is related to Bank of Baroda. So what is this news all about? First of all, I hope आप सबको पता है, there is a term known as CBDC, which stands for Central Bank Digital Currency, and RBI, the central bank of the country, has already started the pilot project for retail as well as wholesale CBDC, that is Central Bank Digital Currency, which is nothing but it is a digital form of Indian currency which can be used as a legal tender in order to purchase and sell the goods or in order to complete the transactions. Now, if you are a seller and you want to attract the customers, what do you do? So what you do is you come up with discount offers, you come up with cashback offers. So in order to support the sellers, there is a news related to CBDC as well as Bank of Baroda. Let's check this out. Bank of Baroda has launched merchant loyalty or cashback program to boost CBDC. So Bank of Baroda has come up with a unique product which will not only support the merchants, that means the sellers, it will also promote the usage of CBDC in the economy. Let's try to understand what is this news all about. So Bank of Baroda has launched a pilot project for the merchant loyalty or cashback program using programmable CBDC, that is Central Bank Digital Currency, for their customers using Bank of Baroda merchant app. So if I am a customer of Bank of Baroda and I am a seller, I am a merchant, let's say I own a petrol pump and I am receiving the payment from my customers with the help of Bank of Baroda, which is working for me as a payment service provider. So being a payment service provider, for me, Bank of Baroda comes up with a lucrative offer for the merchants. What is this lucrative offer? Please pay attention. This project, if I talk about the project, was established under the guidance of Reserve Bank of India, and it allows small and medium-sized merchants to design and administer independent loyalty programs. Now, with the help of CBDC as a medium of exchange, Bank of Baroda customers, or I would say Bank of Baroda sellers, the sellers who have tied up with Bank of Baroda, they can provide loyalty program, they can provide cashback initiatives to the customers whom they are dealing with. So merchant banking with Bank of Baroda and registered on its app can set up cash offers without further infrastructure cost. So if I'll take an example, let's suppose I am a petrol pump owner. Okay, I have a fuel pump and I have Bank of Baroda as my bank and it is providing me with the services. I call it as merchant banking. That means being a merchant, being a seller, all my selling related services are provided to me by Bank of Baroda. So all the payment which I am receiving from my customers, that is being done with the help of Bank of Baroda. Now Bank of Baroda says if a customer who is already having an account in Bank of Baroda can enjoy cashback offers, offered by a particular merchant, and these cashback will be provided under CBDC. This says that if अगर मैं कहूं कि आप पेट्रोल पंप ओनर है, आपके पास बैंक ऑफ बड़ौदा आपका बैंक है, बैंक ऑफ बड़ौदा ने आपको एक बैंक अकाउंट दिया जिसमें आप सीबीडीसी में डील कर रहे हैं, दैट मींस यू आर ट्रेडिंग, यू आर transacting CBDC in terms of sale and purchase activities. There is a customer who is having an account in Bank of Baroda. That customer approaches to this petrol pump or approaches to this fuel pump in order to get his car or bike refilled. और उस केस में जब आप अपनी गाड़ी या बाइक को पेट्रोल से फिल करेंगे तो वहां पर लिखा होगा अगर आप बैंक ऑफ बड़ौदा के कस्टमर हैं यू विल एंजॉय 2% कैशबैक। और ये जो कैशबैक आपको मिलेगा वो कैशबैक आपको मिलेगा किस फॉर्म में, सीबीडीसी की फॉर्म में, और उसका कंडीशन ये भी है कि दैट यू विल बी मेकिंग द पेमेंट इन द सीबीडीसी फॉर्मेट इटसेल्फ। सो दैट इज व्हाट हैज बीन इंट्रोड्यूस्ड बाय बैंक ऑफ बड़ौदा recently, so remember this point. Along with this service will help pharmacies, grocery stores, local retailers so that they can customize their own cashback campaigns. They can adjust the duration of this cashback campaign. They can adjust the percentage of cashback they want to offer, and even they can decide the expiry date up till which you will be receiving the cashback. Customer who use the digital rupee app, please pay attention. Customers who use the digital rupee app to make purchase will receive the cashback in the form of CBDC only. So if you are using digital rupee app and you are already dealing in CBDC, then only you can enjoy these cashback offers. Customer offer is currently available only to the Bank of Baroda account member. So if you are a Bank of Baroda account member, then you can avail this particular offer as a customer as well. So cashback can be redeemed at the same merchant outlet until the expiry. So the cashback which is given to you, you can redeem that same cashback from the same seller, from the same petrol pump owner who has already provided you with the service. So this initiative is basically to enhance CBDC usage by making digital payments more appealing, and it also supposed to help small businesses stay competitive by increasing consumer retention and repeat business. Is it clear, guys? So I'll just conclude the entire news. What this entire news says. So this news says that Bank of Baroda has come up with a unique facility, and this unique facility is known as cashback offers. So we have two parties. One, we have a seller, and the other we have is buyer. So if seller has tied up with Bank of Baroda and Bank of Baroda is providing the merchant banking services to the seller, buyer is also having an account with Bank of Baroda and the buyer is using digital rupee app. That means buyer is using CBDC offered by the Bank of Baroda. So if this seller sells a product to the buyer, in order to attract more buyers, seller can come up with a point that yes, I am offering you 2% cashback, and this 2% cashback is valid till December 2025. So if today buyer 1, B1, purchases a product from seller of 10,000 rupees, then against the payment of 10,000, B1 will receive 2% credit, and this 2% credit will be 200 rupees will be credited as, or I would say CBDC will be credited, 200 rupees of CBDC will be credited into the digital rupee app of buyer 1, and buyer 1 can use these 200 rupees on the same seller on or before 31st December 2025 as per the example I have given. So what is the benefit? The benefit is this seller, a very small seller, a seller who is owing just one petrol pump, today he has the capability to offer cashback services to its customers, and he as a seller can easily tailor that particular cashback service. इससे होगा क्या कि बड़े बड़े जो outlets हैं उनके साथ compete करने में छोटे sellers को help होगी, and उसके साथ साथ CBDC will be promoted in the nation's economy. समझ आई बात? क्लियर हो गया? तो अगली बार आप याद रखिएगा, बैंक ऑफ बड़ौदा has introduced merchant loyalty or cashback program in order to boost CBDC usage as well as in order to support the small and medium size sellers of the country. If it is clear, just give me yes sir so that I can move ahead. So loyalty points redemption is easier as CBDC cannot be converted into cash. I will not say that it is easier, but I would say it is conventional that you cannot convert, or you should not convert, or you're not allowed to convert the CBDC into cash, and it is a cashback offer which can be redeemed only at the same seller. तो ये तो वो बात हुई कि मैंने आपको आज प्रोडक्ट बेचा और मैं चाहता हूं कि आप दोबारा मेरे से प्रोडक्ट खरीदने आए, वो तभी होगा जब मैं आपको कुछ लालच दूंगा, और वो लालच मैंने आपको क्या दे दिया, कैशबैक का लालच दे दिया, जिससे क्या होगा, मेरा रिपीट कस्टमर इंक्रीज हो जाएगा. पहले इस सारी सर्विसेज के लिए यू हैव टू tie up with n number of institutes, you have to tie up with your brand and many other things that need to be done. अब यहाँ पर मेरा पेट्रोल पंप IOCL का पेट्रोल पंप है. There's no need to take the permission from IOCL because I'm offering this facility at my outlet only. It is not offered at all the outlets of IOCL. It is not a centralized scheme. Rather, this is a benefit which I am going to offer to my customers in order to attract my user base, my customer base in my area, in my locality itself. Is it clear now? Is it clear, Parmeshwar? I hope the concept is clear. Moving on to the third news of the day. Moving on to the third news of the day. The third news talks about India has renewed bilateral swap agreement of $75 billion with Japan. This is not the agreement which has been newly signed. It's an agreement which is already existing, and now India has renewed the same agreement of $75 billion. So what is the entire picture in this particular news? First of all, you need to know bilateral swap agreement. Bilateral swap agreement. Bilateral means two parties. So we have India and the other party is Japan. So India will be taking up Japanese currency against US dollars, and Japan will be taking up Indian rupees against US dollars. If you see what is actually happening, the US dollar flow from India to Japan, back from Japan to India. Technically, India has received yen from Japan. Japan has received INR from India. What is the benefit? The benefit is if an exporter from Japan is exporting goods to an Indian importer, then Indian importer can easily pay in yen. And if an importer in Japan is purchasing from an Indian exporter, then the Japanese importer can pay to Indian exporter in INR itself, which will reduce our dependency on US dollar. So as we know, in recent times, after the new president elected in US, the tariff game which is going on, and it is impacting the entire globe, especially the Indian share market, has responded pretty actively against this tariff game which is going on. So keeping that in mind, every nation is trying its level best to decrease its dependency on US as well as US dollars so that we can survive pretty well. So in order to reduce the dependency on US dollars, in order to reduce the exploitation of forex reserves of a nation, in order to make its import bills, this kind of bilateral swap agreement is done. So technically, what is this swap agreement? This is basically Indian currencies flowing to Japan and Japanese currencies flowing to India, and in near future when we will be doing an import-export with each other, at that particular moment, rather than paying in US dollar, we can easily pay in the respective currency of the nation to reduce the dependency on US dollar. That is known as bilateral swap agreement. So India and Japan renewed their second amendment and restatement agreement of bilateral swap agreement, and this agreement is maintained up to a value of $75 billion. So this agreement was signed between Reserve Bank of India, the central bank of the country, that is India, and between Bank of Japan. Bank of Japan is based in Tokyo. RBI has its headquarters in Mumbai, and these two banks, they have signed this agreement in order to practically complete this swap agreement. The arrangement basically done. This arrangement is basically done to improve the financial cooperation between Japan and India, as well as to compete with the other global and regional safety nets in order to avoid over dependency on a particular nation's currency, in order to avoid over dependency on a particular nation's currency, so that that currency should not exploit the entire globe in the near future. If you are still confused, what is bilateral swap agreement? Please pay attention. So bilateral currency swap agreement means it's basically a contract. And this is a contract which is signed between two central banks where they agree to exchange a set amount of their respective currencies at predetermined exchange rate, essentially allowing each country to access a pool of foreign currency to manage their balance of payments and provide liquidity to their domestic banks whenever needed. Is it clear? So typically central banks of two currencies, they enter into the agreement. It is basically done to stabilize the exchange rate. It is done to decrease the dependency on foreign currency. It is basically done to manage our foreign currency exchange reserves, as well as it is done in order to access foreign currency during the financial crisis. Is it clear, everyone? I hope Parmeshwar, okay. I hope Parmeshwar, your questions are clear. I hope Parmeshwar, your questions are clear. So if it is clear, just give me yes, sir. If it is clear, just give me yes, sir. Okay. Done? I hope it's clear. We can exchange yen to rupees. Technically, we are doing the same. Guys, see, technically, we are doing the same. Why we are using US dollar in this case? US dollar is basically a parameter to decide the exchange rate. It is basically a parameter to decide the exchange rate. So either you take it in a manner the way I have explained to you, that first India will pay US dollar to Japan and Japan will give equivalent value of yen to India. In the second step, same US dollar which are paid by India to Japan, that will be paid back to India again, and India will be transferring Indian rupees to Japan. That can be done. This is what I'm trying to say. So end of the day, US dollar leaving India reaches India again. You can take it in this manner, or else with the help of US dollar, you decide the exchange rate and then you directly convert the currency you are transferring INR against yen. Technically, the same is happening. Technically, the same is happening. Why I have taken US dollar as a point of discussion over here, as a point of, I would say, base over here, for two reasons. First is to decide the value of swap, because the value of swap cannot be determined in either of the currency, because it will be X yen and Y rupees. So in order to avoid that confusion of X yen and Y rupees, let's take a common value, that is US dollar. Second is it is used to decide the exchange rate of the two currencies. That is why we take US dollar as a mediator. Is it clear now? Is it clear? Yes, it basically means that we are converting $75 billion worth rupees into yen, and those rupees are handed over to Japan, and equivalent value of yen is handed over to India, and we use those reserves in order to make our trade settlements. Is it clear now? Is it clear now? Atul, Parmeshwar, Madhuri, Mukund. If it is clear, just give me yes, sir. If it is clear, just give me yes, sir. So why we are talking about US dollar? One is to decide the value. Second is to decide the exchange rate. Nothing else. Got it? Okay. Moving on. So what are the benefits? Sir, it will firstly increase liquidity. So both the countries, they have access to the foreign currency. That will increase liquidity with the respective nation. Second is risk mitigation. Risk mitigation means it can help stabilize exchange rate fluctuation. Why? If India is trading with Japan, and that too in the local currency, dependency on US dollar in this trade is zero. And if the dependency on US dollar decreases, undoubtedly exchange rate will decrease, or undoubtedly exchange rate will not be impacted due to this particular trade. Third is economic cooperation. Undoubtedly it will increase the economic cooperation between India and Japan. So if next time someone asks you what are the benefits of bilateral currency swap agreements, so the benefits include liquidity flow to both the nations, it will mitigate the foreign exchange risk, and it will increase the economic cooperation between the nations. I hope the entire news is clear and you can go through with it. Remember that this particular news which we are talking about, sir, this renewed agreement was effective from 28th of February 2025. This exchange is not done in one go. They have set the limit that up to $75 billion of exchange will be done between the two nations, or currency swap will be done between the two nations in order to decrease our dependency on the foreign currency, that is US dollar. Is it clear? Okay. Moving on to the next news. The next news says Asian Development Bank, which is based in Philippines, has approved $200 million of loan, and this loan is approved to improve the development of climate and disaster resilient sewage and drainage infrastructure in Kolkata, West Bengal. Technically, this is a phase 1 question where the question will be asked, Asian Development Bank has approved what value? Sir, Asian Development Bank has approved $200 million of exchange value, $200 million of exchange value, or I would say $200 million of loan has been announced by Asian Development Bank in order to support the development of Bengal, or I would say Kolkata, West Bengal infrastructure. Please check it out. Please check this out. And if you have any doubt, you may ask, please. Done? Shall we move ahead? Okay. So remember that the loan agreement is a part of Kolkata Municipal Corporation Sustainability, Hygiene and Resilience Project. So remember this. K sharp stands for what? So K sharp stands for Kolkata Mumbai Corporation Sustainability, Hygiene and Resilience Project. So remember this data, that is more than sufficient. Just read it. If you have some time, just give a reading. Nothing else is important. Moving on to the next news. The next news talks about SIDBI signs MOU with TCL to strengthen financing avenues for MSME. So recently, SIDBI, Small Industrial Development Bank of India, has signed an agreement with Tata Capital Limited, and this MOU is basically signed for partnership for financing micro, small and medium enterprises. As we have discussed a number of times that MSME is a vital sector of the Indian economy, but its credit requirement, its credit demand is not fulfilled. In order to fulfill this credit demand, n number of initiatives have been taken by Government of India, as well as it is taken by different financial institutes. So in the same race, SIDBI has recently tied up with Tata Capital Limited. So partnership aims to strengthen MSME ecosystem by providing funding for machinery, equipment financing, working capital, cash credit, overdraft, business loans, loans against property and many more. So remember this point. Only one statement is more than sufficient, that yes, recently SIDBI has tied up with TCL in order to support or in order to provide financing requirements or to fulfill the financing requirements of micro, small and medium enterprises. So today we have discussed all the news which have a possibility that they can be asked in phase 1 as well as in phase 2. और आपको समझ में आया होगा, whenever I discuss a particular news, अगर कोई news phase 1 oriented है तो उसे मैं limited रखता हूं, लेकिन अगर किसी news से phase 2 related question पूछा जा सकता है, so I extend that news the way I have extended rice fortification today. So tomorrow we will be coming up with day after tomorrow, we will be coming up with many important discussions related to RBI because many circulars have been presented recently. One of the most important circular is regulation announcement done by, or regulation norms announced by RBI. We will be discussing that. Then RBI has come up with some circular related to urban cooperative banks, and many other circulars will be discussed in the day after tomorrow session. Is it fine, guys? I hope you must have enjoyed the discussion. So I have tried my level best to keep the entire session in Hindi as well as in English, ताकि ये सबके लिए क्लियर हो और लैंग्वेज इश्यूज ना हो. इस सेशन की PDF मेरे टेलीग्राम चैनल पर अवेलेबल होगी. टेलीग्राम चैनल मेरा तो अभी तक हैक नहीं हुआ, आगे भी उम्मीद है कि नहीं होगा. आप टेलीग्राम चैनल को ज्वाइन कर लीजिए. हर दिन PDF अपलोड होगी, उस PDF को डाउनलोड कर लीजिए. डाउनलोड करने के बाद आप अपने कंप्यूटर में सेव कर लीजिए. दैट इज योर कॉल. Is it clear, guys? I think there's no more discussion required on the same. So I request you, do not forget to like the session before leaving, share it with your friends, and I will be catching you all day after tomorrow, that is on Thursday, 5:15 p.m. with many more important news, especially focusing on RBI this Thursday, which is going to be a very important session. Good luck. God bless you all. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.